one of the things the Christmas story reminds us of is that it is possible to live the divine life, the life of God, in any situation. Think about it. What the Christmas story says is this, very, very simply. It says that a baby even before it was born, a baby as it was growing inside the tummy of the mother of God, Mary, that this baby is God. That being a fetus is not incompatible with being God, but more than that, being a kid who's reliant on its parents for its very existence, a kid that only knows how to demand its needs and nothing else, that is not incompatible with being God and divine. That a kid who's just learning to speak, that actually the act of learning language and how to communicate, that's not incompatible with being God. That being a teenager, with all the changes that are happening with your body, that is not incompatible with being God, because Jesus was a kid and he was a teenager. The coming of age and learning and understanding a craft, that is not incompatible with being God, because Jesus did each one of those things. But we also learn that loneliness, that hunger, that abandonment, that suffering, that grief, that pain, that feeling lost in this world, like not knowing what's going to happen next, like each one of these things we learn are not incompatible with being God, because Jesus did them all. Jesus is God with us and reminds us that whatever part of life we are experiencing, whatever is happening to us, whatever is happening in us, God is with us, and we can be as God, even in suffering, even in pain, even in growth, even in isolation. That none of those things mean that we are not loved by God, or none of those things mean that we are not able to live the divine life and the divine existence. Now that is a cool message for us this Christmas, right? I was reading this article, it was by Alistair McGrath, and it was about C.S. Lewis, and a sermon that C.S. Lewis gave on the incarnation, the Word becoming flesh, Jesus, or the infinite God becoming finite in the person of Jesus. And he used the image of a diver. Apparently he was just getting into diving at the time, and he talks about imagining, diving to an unbelievably deep depth. You dive from the diving board and you keep going down and down and down until the light fades and it's only black and it's only darkness. And as you go down, you feel like your lungs are just going to explode and you can't hold your breath any longer. But that diver reaches down and it grabs something precious from like the depths of the ocean. And then he goes all the way back up out of the water with this precious gift held in his hands. He says that's what the message of Christmas is, that God wades into the depths, even to the darkest parts of human existence, of this world, to grab something precious. And you know what C.S. Lewis says is the precious thing that God grabs? He says it time and time again in this sermon. The precious thing that God is trying to rescue from the depths of darkness is human nature. Now think about that for a moment. It's human nature. Sure, he comes to rescue humans, so us as individuals, to rescue us and free us from darkness and pain and sin and brokenness. But C.S. Lewis doesn't just say humans, he says human nature. What's he rescuing? He's rescuing humans and what it is to be a human. He's showing us that the divine life is possible at any stage of existence, whatever is happening to you. He's making it possible for us to live the divine life in all the human stages, wherever you find yourself. That is the message of Christmas, that God came into this world to rescue us and to make it possible for us by the power of the Spirit who creates a baby out of nothing in the womb of Mary. The divine baby, God himself, by the power of the Spirit who created this whole universe, by the power of the Spirit that is in us.